Bye. It's left me on my own. Good day, Codger Biker here. Stuck at the lights as usual. But finally got to go out on my CB500X straight into a traffic jam. Of course. Been out with Dr. J, he's abandoned me. No, he's gone home. I said I was staying out because I want to put some miles on the bike. I'm currently on 151 miles and frustrated that I can't rev it out yet, but there you go. We've got some sunshine, but after a week of snow, which strangely disappeared very quickly, and lots of ice, we've got one day of warm weather before it goes back to being cold again. So here I am, wearing my other helmet. Stacking up some miles, Codger style. I do like throwing this into corners. After being used to a 21-inch front wheel, a 17-19 combo feels like a sports bike. Woohoo! So with 152 miles on the tyres, I've got confidence in those now. I think they're Dunlop Trail Max. Mostly a road tyre, I would say, with 10% off-road, would be my guess. But as this is going to be, for me, a road bike, I'll probably change those to Michelin Road 6s or something in due course. But I'm going to use these tyres first. No point in throwing away a brand new set of tyres. So anyway, I'm going to ride a few miles, and then I'm going to pull over and show you what I've done with the bike so far. Some people have been asking me, and lots of people have been telling me what to do, so I'll show you what I've done. Then I'll consider a couple of issues. It's early days yet, obviously, but I have a couple of things I'd like to adjust. Nothing radical. It's strange when you change bikes how you change personality. I don't know if you've noticed, but now I'm with Scarlett Honda, the lady, I'm being more gentle, you see. Alright, Scarlett? Oh yes. She approves. Can't rev it too much yet. Okay, I'll get back to you when I pull over. One thing I can confirm is that if I slam the brakes on, nobody behind. Alright, let's try it. So, coming along and slam on. Can you see? That was the rear indicators flashing. Proves it works. Alright, one good thing about my test, it proves the brakes are very good. Yeah, I'm still not overly impressed with the rear brake. I did a couple of alterations. I lifted the clutch lever so that I could get my big boots in, so that's great now. I also lifted the brake pedal up a little bit so that it's a bit more positive when I do apply the rear brake. It's a little bit low for my liking, but it's still nowhere near as good as the rear brake on my 690. But then I've always thought I had a great rear brake, probably because it's a dirt bike. You tend to rely more on a rear brake. The front's very good, as I've hopefully demonstrated. On that corner on my other bike, I would have been able to just use my rear brake to get around it, but I have to use a bit of front with this bike. That's the difference, really. You could argue it's making me use my brakes correctly, couldn't you? If you were so inclined. Look at this. We're actually parked in some mud. What do you think of that? Oh. put it on the centre stand, very easy to do. Stand on it and it goes back. So here we are, parked up with our centre stand deployed. It's very, very easy to put on the centre stand. I'll give it that. I thought I'd just do a quick overview of where I'm at with my CB500X. Right, so where am I? Well, we've had terrible weather, haven't been able to get out, so took the bike in the kitchen, did my usual. I did the Campbell 01 technique, which is where you buy a few things and you put them in your garage and you leave them in your garage, and once a month has passed by they no longer count as costing anything, they're free. So I had several things in the garage which technically then have cost me nothing. So the first thing that I did, which cost no money at all, was I lifted the screen up to its highest setting, which you have to do with tools. Oh, shock horror, no big deal. 5mm Allen key, do the lot in 5 minutes. Didn't really find it made much difference, if I'm honest, although it has stopped the bird muck from splattering me. Look, it's got some bird dirt on there, another bit there, look. So with no screen I would have been covered in bird muck, so there was that. But other than that, yeah, I didn't really notice a difference. I mean, this helmet, I'm wearing a different crash helmet today. It wasn't no buffeting at all, just seemed very noisy. So I can imagine I'll be ending up with either a different screen or one of those spoilers at some point. But for now, I'm just sticking with the stock while I can analyse it for myself. It's different for everybody. Everybody's got different tolerances. There's, as I learned with my 790, there's no one size fits all. So adjusting the screen up was the first thing that I did, and the next thing was to keep as much dirt as possible off the engine. I fitted a fender extender, pyramid one. You can see that it's working pretty well. There's a little bit of dirt on the bottom of the headers, a little bit on the lower end of the engine, but nothing else. I'll probably put, I don't want to put a bash plate on this because I'm not going off-road, but I'll probably put not a belly pan, but a similar sort of thing, a lightweight bash plate, the sw-motech one most likely, because I've got the centre stand, so you can't put the rally raid on it. I don't want the rally raid on it anyway because I'm not going off-road, so, well, other than a few farm trails in Lincolnshire, no doubt. So that's doing its job. Next up, I fitted a pyramid rad guard, which you can see there, which just really, now this is on, it's very unlikely to get any stones up there anyway, but just in case they fly off of the vehicles, it's suspended in front of the radiator and doesn't seem to inhibit the airflow. Not seeing any signs of overheating anyway, so that's okay. Good thing about the centre stand, look, is I can check the oil. There's the oil level. Next thing I added was an Outback Motortech rack, which I fitted the same Lextech bag as I have on my other bike. It's a new one, £30 it cost, or was it 25? They have gone up. It was 20 originally. I think this one was probably a bit more. It's very useful. I like to have the ability to carry camera crap, batteries, look, puncture repair gear. Now you could just strap this to the seat, but I prefer to have a rack. Each to their own. So I chose the sw-motech one because it's slender. You still get some grip if I had a pillion, which I never do anyway, but just in case. So that's that. There will be videos on all these things when I can be bothered to edit them. Also I fitted the Honda official tank pad, which is okay. I did look at another one which was colour coded, but I decided just to go with the Honda one. It wasn't as difficult to fit as I was expecting. I will do a video on that. Next thing I've fitted is the sw-motech sat nav bracket. The problem with this is if you've got a more modern sat nav where it fits flush to it, probably okay. But with this TomTom with its great big mount pokes out too far, so the whole thing is, you know, a good sort of 4 or 5 inches away from the bar, so you get some movement. I'm not sure I'm happy with that. I have got a Rally Raid one on my other bike, so I might try the Rally Raid one, which will bring it quite a bit further back in. And I know a lot of people are going to say, I'll use the Rally Raid one, so I do have that. I haven't as yet bothered to wire the sat nav into the switch, which I know is under the sink, and I've got under the sink under the seat, and I've got the plugs for it and everything ready. For now I'm just using the 12 volt cigarette socket, and I've just got a switchable 12 volt plug on the end of it, and it works very well. I had that on the 790 for a long time. In fact, I never bothered with the 790 ever to wire it into the bike. Works fine, and the good thing is I could turn it off without turning the bike off. As you're going along, you can turn it on and off. So that's my old TomTom sat nav from the other bike. So I think that's everything so far. I'm currently on just over 150 miles, as I said. We are in a little bit of mud. I'm very much enjoying the 17-inch back wheel. Again, feels like a road bike to me. Goes into corners very well. I've just noticed that I had actually put a foot pad on the side stand as well, which is ideal when it's parked in a place like this. It's a bit soft, the ground's a bit soft. So that was actually a cheap one from Amazon, and there you go, sits quite nicely in the mud. Now, I had a couple of questions from somebody who bought the bike on the same day as me. The first question was, does your centre stand stick when you take the bike off the stand? Well, it did. When I first got it, the first couple of times I put it on the centre stand, I thought the spring was too weak, because it just sort of hung halfway and I had to put my foot to just encourage it. But as you shall see now, as you may have already seen, after I've had it on and off the stand quite a few times while I was fitting those parts, it now does this. Watch, off the side stand, it now retracts. So I think that's just bedded itself in. The other thing that somebody asked me, I'll put your name up if I can remember, apologies for not remembering everything, is about the hazards. Now, if you put the hazards on, so your hazard lights are flashing while you're going along, that's great. If you want to use them while you're going along, I know people do on the motorway and things, but if you turn the bike off, they go off. So to have the hazards on, you've got to have the key in, which seems a bit daft to me. Also, that switch is quite nice, it's sort of on or off, you can feel it. But yeah, it's a bit daft that you can't take the key out, because you can't leave the bike with the hazards running unless you leave the key in it, which is, yeah, not ideal. So that's what I found so far. I'm not convinced that lifting the screen up made any difference really. Seemed very noisy, but this helmet is a noisier helmet, I think, than my Shoei helmet, which is very quiet, always has been, even though it's got a peak on it. So I'm not jumping to any conclusions, but I know I've seen lots of people with those spoilers on these bikes, or different screens, which, you know, is a rabbit hole you go down and start trying screens. One that I'm well known for doing. But for the moment, at least while I've had the first service done, I'm just going to leave it as it is and try it out. I might put it back down again and just see whether there's any real difference. It is actually quite a windy day as well. It's obviously, sometimes the wind's coming from the side and it's not actually coming from the screen at all. So it's early days. Overall, I really like the bike. I just say, as I say, I'm a bit frustrated that I want to be able to rev it out more, because it feels like it will be quite a revvy bike and quite good in the corners, despite the fact it's an adventure bike. It's quite a low adventure bike. I can flat foot easily. I can easily flat foot. One thing I have noticed, which is typical Honda, which KTMs don't do, most of them, is when the fuel tank is full, this is a bit top heavy. You get used to it, but it just has that feeling. Sorry, I'm messing about with my strap. When it's full, if it's ever full, you just feel a little bit top heavy with it, whereas when I filled the 690 or the 790, it made no difference, because the fuel tank on the 690 is down here and the fuel tank on the 790 is down there. In fact, with the 790, the more fuel you put in it, the more stable it felt. So there is an element of just being aware that sometimes it wants to tip over a bit more quickly than you might expect, or at least I would expect, having it been used to having central tanks or low tanks. The tank's quite high. So overall, a great bike, really enjoying it. Lots of people have said how much they love these bikes. I think it's a bike for people with who don't need a big ego. It's one of those bikes. If you're sort of just want to be inconspicuous, enjoy your ride, go virtually anywhere that's paved, gravel roads of course, the standard bike is just fine. It's great. It's a really nice thing to have. It's quite that sort of Honda refinement that you get with their twins is there. I can't really explain it. I mean, they do vibrate a little bit. It's something about that soft power that comes in at low revs. My Africa Twin was just the same. I really can't describe it. If you've had one, you probably know what I mean. Great. So my first attempt to fill it up, instantly covered myself in fuel. Right, so the fuel has got a hole there and two little ones there, and that's what I wasn't aware of. Made it very difficult to fill up. Maybe next time it'll be easier. Ah, you put the nozzle through the hole, you idiot. Then it's fine. Well, how was I supposed to know that? Birds and the bees. There's a hole, there's a nozzle, you put the nozzle in the hole, and then it works up. Whoa, it's pouring in. So yeah, there's my update. I hope that was useful. Codger Biker is out.